Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So the topic we just treated, I think we'll probably still bring it back because it's something that we can't just sweep under the carpet. It's really important, and we need to follow that story. Nima, I'd like you to please help us follow that story. Another interesting Your View type of story that caught our attention is that of a man asking for our opinion. That is it okay to divorce his wife after catching her while sending nude pictures to her pastor? We actually read the material. What happened was that the man suspected that his wife was constantly having long conversations with this pastor. So at some point, I think she was out of the room. He now went to the phone, just checked the phone, and he now saw that they were having this very intimate conversation. And it was obvious that she was having an affair from the... In fact, he took a picture of the conversation and sent it, and that was also posted. He said he was shaken at that moment and he didn't know what to do. He was now asking for people's advice. Now, in this situation, the evidence is clear. I don't know. Me, I always like to be on the woman's side a lot of time because I like to understand where she's coming from. Because I always believe that, excuse me, that no woman would intentionally want to leave her matrimonial home or marriage and start flirting around. So for me, what went wrong? Not from the woman's side, but what did the man do to cause his wife to be sleeping with her pastor?
Today, me, I want to do man arguments.
Okay.
So it's the man who might, in my own opinion, has failed to be his wife's best friend, listener and everything, and confident while she's talking to the pastor. When you don't create hole in the wall, the lizard will not come in. He opened that window. When a couple, you know, Mora was saying yesterday, and I said it was difficult for me to understand the case yesterday. Sometimes women are drowning, they are struggling, they are trying to say something. And it's always, the worst case scenario is when it is the person who they should be talking to who doesn't want to hear that conversation. You keep saying to her, I don't think you're serious. What's that? I don't think that's important. You're not focused. And if the pastor becomes it might not be the pastor. In another case, it might be the colleague at work. It might be the driver. It might be anything. At that vulnerable moment, you created that wall. Before you know it, this woman has gone there. Professor Aslam used to say that there's a share of sin for a man whose wife had to commit adultery in the sense that he didn't protect, guard jealously what was
Thank you to the
Prophet Muhammad.
Now, let me invite our viewers because I need to get our callers to call in 07080668014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Let me hear your thoughts on this, Mariam, because as I said, no woman wants to leave her marriage. You marry because you're in love with the person. And just like Nima rightly said, a woman is looking for sukkah, and you now go and start with either, it could be driver, it could be anybody. But does it make it right?
No, I don't know if Nima rightly said, though. Because I know that we have heard stories of where men have committed all forms of infidelities and we say there's no excuse, or we have blamed the woman for the infidelity. And I would not like for us to sit down here and now blame a man when we do not accept, when we blame women for the infidelities that their husbands commit. We cannot come and sit down here and now start blaming the man for the infidelities.
I'll come back to you, Mary. If you read the chat that I read, the man was saying, I bought her X phone, I mean iPhone X, I bought her this. So in his own mind, it's about giving.
Gift is his love language.
But the woman is saying, maybe that's not what she wants.
And then she should say what she wants.
Okay, so...
what if he's not listening?
No, then she should say what she wants. There's no excuse. What she can do is, I have spoken to him, it's not working, and I leave. I feel so bad for the man because I tried to flip it. If I was the one that came in and I checked through my husband's phone and I see that kind of message, what would I do? And the question is, should he divorce her? At that point, all I can say to your brother right now, just take time out and cool your head and think about it. Some marriages have been able to work this thing through and then, you know, they get better marriage. But some have been, I mean, this is totally the end of it. Okay, thank you. But for me, that woman did the wrong thing. Okay. That pastor is where we should go next.
Let me take this one from Jared and I'll come to Stockway. Jared, are you there?
Don't listen to yourself.
Don't listen to your TV, please. Listen to me. Jared, are you there? Okay, let's cut that line. Go ahead.
So for me, my advice to him is don't divorce your wife. I've said on the show countless times, I do not support cheating, but I feel that it is not a ground for divorce. I believe that cheating is a ground for discussion. Both of you should discuss what brought us to this point, what happened, why did you do this, what would prevent this. what can we do better? How can we move forward? Is this something that you will do again? Or is this something that...
Who plans it? Nobody plans this thing.
No. There's some cases that you know that there's things that trigger it. I don't trust myself. If we continue, and I know someone who is back in Nigeria now because when she traveled abroad, she cheated. And she came back with her family and told the man that if you send me back to go and live in Obodo Oyinbo without you, it will happen again. So sometimes you know the triggers. Her husband, she cheated. Yes, the man found out. So it was a case of, if you don't want this thing to happen, then let us prevent me being away from you.
Which is
so that is
thank you for establishing
it's not about
prevention.
Breaking or going through divorce. It's about discussing why did this happen? How can we prevent
Miriam
it?
said, you know, I shouldn't hold a case for the man, but when your wife starts to not just converse, not call, but start to chat all the time on the phone with another man, forget whether it's the only man or an only man or whatever kind of man, in her and express her vulnerability, her weakness, her needs to somebody else, why you're okay with it. Don't say you do not create room. You created room.
Where did we get her vulnerability? Where did we get the that she was vulnerable?
I mean, what was the conversation about?
See, from what I saw, there was nothing to talk about this woman's vulnerabilities. Right. You know, this is a person that is having, yes, we're assuming that she's having a relationship with her pastor. And we know it shouldn't be. See,
okay, let's come.
We know this a lot of times. In fact, they said a lot of times that we find more women in churches. Women tend to have this almost God-like, saint-like relationship with their pastors. Do you understand? So we have that. There's nothing here that suggests that this is a vulnerable woman or said anything about her being vulnerable. Right. And in fact, from the way she responded to the messages, she was talking more about her sexual needs than anything about her emotions.
But her husband was there now.
Break. Well, let me just take you. Sorry, let me take Emmanuel. Emmanuel's holding for you. Emmanuel, are you still there?
Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, first time caller.
Welcome to the show.
I want to go back to the first topic you
Yes, go ahead.
Fortunately, I reside here in Abuja. I reside in Abuja, and this issue of girls being raided from the clubbers and the rest of it, sometimes we miss issues. Let's be sincere with ourselves. I had a truth or whatever called earlier on, and it says it's have to go out and then be picked up by the police. Yes, I know we have entities within our Nigerian policemen or armed forces for that matter. But in Abuja, where I reside, it is obvious it's becoming excessively rampant, especially girls between the age of 15 and 18, almost running riots on every. It was not clubs again now. Beer parlors. You see them come dressed half nude, and these are just leaving their parents' houses. It's happening on a daily basis, and this is as a result of parental failures. Yes, the policemen will have to be taught on how to relate with these children. I agree with that, right? Okay. Now, during the time of El-Rufai, I'll take you about. There's a place called Zone 4. Zone 4 became a different issue entirely until El-Rufai had to take down the entire building.
Right.
And that put a stop to that place.
Right. Thank you very much for your comments, Emmanuel. The report we read didn't talk about underage, actually. It was more of married people, adults. But thanks for giving us that information. Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll bring in our celebrity guests to join this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So they are the king and queen of tourism. They are both presenters and producers of the multiple award-winning culture and travel TV show Goge Africa. Goge Africa. Welcome with us, Isaac and Nneka Moses, to the show. I already have you on. So we're going to start with the issue we're discussing before you came on, because you're a couple and it'd be nice to hear your thoughts on it. So this woman is obviously cheating on her husband with her pastor. And from the text we saw, it was obvious the man was giving everything he had materially. But obviously her needs are more physical. You know, she needed that emotional attachment and all that. So in your view, when a man catches his woman cheating, What do you think is the right step? What should he do? How should he handle it? Let me come to you, sir, since you're the man in this picture. God forbid, auntie is cheating. God forbid, though.
Honestly, I find it really hard to put myself in that position. However, it's a tough one to deal with, really, especially when you trust the woman, you know, through and through, and you find out that she's cheating. Obviously, something is wrong somewhere.
Exactly.
And there must have been some form of communication breakdown.
That's so.
You people are not talking anymore. And there are times, you know, pressure of work, a guy goes on, forgetting that he has to do the job in the other room, and the woman decides to, you know.
But he asked the question, should he divorce her?
That's a tough one. If you really love her, that's not enough reason to divorce her. Yes. So, but it's going to really hurt you.
Let me ask you a question,
Yes.
sir. Would you be worried if your wife, maybe let's say you have 6 hours together in 24 hours, and out of those 6 hours, she's not in tune with you in the house. Maybe she's on her phone too often, talking to anybody at all, not necessarily the pastor, just talking now.
As a
Not
matter of
necessarily.
fact, I complain.
Exactly.
I complain when she's answering all the comments on Instagram. I said, look, this thing is getting too much.
You have to pay attention to me.
She said, but this is business. People are making requests for tours, for this, for that, so she has to respond.
Let me come to you.
Let me come to you. But I complain.
Right.
I feel neglected when that's happening, when it goes on and on for too long. And when there are too many messages on Instagram that has to be answered, it means she needs all that time to also answer them.
Okay, let me come to you. What can make a woman? Because I always have the argument that women, we're nurturers. We want our family, our homes. So that thing that will make you as a woman seek love, emotional connection elsewhere. What could push a woman to that point, do you think?
Well, from my point of view, I think the world expects too much of a woman. We are nurturers, we are this, we are that, but we're also human, and we also have needs. So sometimes some of us assume the role of superwoman, and when you assume that role, when you fall, it's like just slipping off the cliff, like that. So I think a woman also needs attention from her man. Just like they crave our attention, we also need their attention in and outside the bedroom.
We have interns, young people who are just floating around orgamoses and saying, hey, hey, sir, daddy, hey, daddy. How does that make you feel like when they're just all around him?
See, that always happens. How does it make me feel? I just rely in the confidence that he has built in me over time to trust him. That's what keeps me going. Because, and then also he helps us very much by making sure that I'm his handbag, or are you my handbag? So
you're always with him.
We're always together.
Right.
And initially when we set out on this our marriage journey, he's the one that pulled me out. Come go with me, I have a voiceover, come go with me here. You know, I have an audition, come go with me. I'm like, but I run a shop, how do I have to follow you everywhere? He said, just come, because when you're with me, you help me avoid temptation.
Wow.
So it depends on what you want to, how you want your marriage to be. So you set that pace and then you run with it. Well, now, another thing I was going to say, everybody's saying pastor, pastor, pastor. What sort of pastor is he? It doesn't mean that when you say somebody's a professor, that he's actually has all that knowledge. So when we're saying pastor, pastor, they're fake pastors. They are fake men of God. There are people who take that title so they can now have the opportunity to abuse people.
I think men should take that stand.
Question. Have you ever been jealous of her relationship with other people?
Yes, sure. I mean, I'm human, but I control it. I use...
You didn't tell me.
No, come on.
I like that.
So you have male friends around you?
Of course.
Of course, most of my male friends,
All his
I
friends are
have
my
friends.
friends. And all my friends are here.
So they just come, so you guys are his family. I want to hear, when you feel that way, what do you do? Because a lot of men are in that position and they get violent, they make the wrong decisions. When you get jealous, when you feel like my wife is being too close to XYZ, or XYZ being too close to my wife, how do you handle that situation?
No, this is a situation I face most times. You go to a function and some guys come and say, oh, please, can I take a picture with your wife? Can I take a picture?
And then they put their hand around.
Exactly, you know, and then too many of them, you know, and I said, okay, well, this is what happens. I need to deal with it, you know. So
Nobody calls her at night?
well, if they do, I guess it's usually business, and those who call her, I know.
No, Mariah.
Couples should be able to help themselves.
Yes.
In our case, I pick his call.
Yes.
He picks my call. So you don't know who will pick when you call. Anyway,
that's right.
there are times I answer his text messages as if he's the one talking to the person. So, but they don't know. Then when he comes
So
back,
there's transparency.
Yes, transparency is very key. So I tell him, see, this person sent a text, see what I said to him or what I said to her, so that he can follow through. But the thing is, some married people have a way of keeping their secret. It's too much of a burden. Life in itself is throwing so much at you. And then you start keeping this, and when you start keeping up on a lie, it's too much stress. For me,
You guys look married. You guys look beautiful. I can see that. You don't stress yourselves, obviously, because it's been almost how many years, and you guys are still looking gorgeous. Go ahead, Mariam.
Yes, you know, sometimes I wonder if it works because there have never been any mistakes. You know, some people will have to come from a place of, they'll say their love is tested love. They've made mistakes, they've hurt each other, and now they're doing it better. Or is it just stronger because nobody has, you know,
Been tempted before.
you know, not been tempted before, but you haven't done anything to hurt the other person. So it's just easier to work this way.
To grow.
No, we always do things to hurt each other.
Surely.
Sometimes my cooking, I'm not cooking in time because that's, you know, but if you're talking about relationship like women around him or men around me, that will always, there are times I'm like, how am I sure this girl, isn't there something going on? What I really do is, I don't confront him in front of people. We go back, I'll say, bros, that babe, what exactly is going on? He'll be like, which one? I'll be like, there's a way she was looking at you, and I feel that. And then
Something
the onus
ain't
is
right.
on him
To explain,
explain
Right.
and make me feel good,
Right.
make me understand that there's really nothing. And one of the ways is that anytime she calls, maybe he says, okay, she's calling, you answer.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, so I want to ask.
We want to learn from you because there are a lot of people who are going through these situations and don't know how to handle it. So thank
Could
you
it
very much.
also be because you work together? Because your business, your lives are virtually, you are in each other's pockets most of the
But
time.
sometimes some people work together and they fight and they divorce.
A lot of marriages
Because of the
don't have that luxury of being together.
You call it luxury. For some people, it's
burden.
torture
Yes,
working
it's torture,
together.
yeah.
Some
Some
people
people
say to
can.
me, how do you manage? It's like you see him 24 hours. In fact, we dress up together and come down together. I think it's become a habit.
Right.
We started out like that, you know, because it was necessary at the time, and then it became our habit. But I have to also say that it's not that every couple should be like us, because it's not possible, okay? But then it's not that I'm righteous or that he is righteous. Somehow it kind of worked for us. But one thing I think we have going for us is that he's very, very down to earth. He's not that kind of egotistic guy who always feels like, he always says, I allow good reason or better reason, give way for, you know, there's a way he says it. So, and,
It's
and the thing is
like
that,
what Shakespeare said, that good reasons must of force give place to better.
better, yes, that's
so-
it. So
and
he
if-
doesn't feel put down if he says, let's do this, and I'm like, no, but I think this is better. In fact, I do presentations every day to him. I have to like present, like I'm talking to my CEO. If I say, let's do this, once he says this, and I don't want it, I don't stay there and say, no, we can't do that. I'm like,
I also see...
I take it back and then I work on it. I come back to him and tell him why it should be that.
I also see a lot of respect between the two of you. I feel that you have that mutual respect for each other.
Yes.
Now, was that immediate or did it grow over time?
Did he
Yes,
do something?
well, I'll say it grew over time because
Yes, I agree.
yes, you have to be matured. Marriage is about maturity. You have to also respect your spouse, you know. So, and once you understand these things, you'll be able to at least, you know, to
Did
get
she
you married.
do something to earn it, or you chose to respect
I
her?
think she earned
how
it. She earned it.
Very
You know, yes.
I want to dwell on that.
Yes.
Because I'll go back, because RDJ, one of our coaches, told me privately that, Morel, earn your husband's respect. If you do that for life, you've got him. Because he will continue to see you as that person that he loves and cherishes, which is what I like, the fact that she earned it.
Yes.
Now, for a lot of people out there, that so let me, I don't want to say because they're housewives, but there's some women that are just at home. They're not sure what the next steps are. I just resigned my work. I'm going to be a housewife. I'm a full-time, but I'll be doing other things. But I'm excited about that. But some women are in that, and they're like, they feel that the whole world has ended, and their husband have taken advantage of them and totally looked down on them because they feel like they're just at home doing nothing. As a woman in that situation, and I'm coming to you, what can you do to earn your husband's respect the way your husband has earned your own respect?
Okay, initially when we started, like he said, I didn't know you didn't respect me those days. You didn't show it. Anyway, but the thing is, I remember one incident. A guy came from Lekki those days, like maybe 12, 18 years ago, I can't remember. But it was telling him to invest a certain amount of money into one business. I came into the room. I didn't like what the guy was saying. My vibes about him was not right. When the guy left, I said, don't do it. I don't trust this guy. He said, why? He has done it with other people and they are earning more. I'm going to do it. I said, okay, but just know that I warned you. I don't feel good about this. Well, the guy, chopped his money.
You see, I feel that you guys are so blessed, but I understand that there must have been struggles, and we can't paint the picture of
perfect world.
No.
And you traveled consistently over a long time. How was that process and those periods? How was it on your marriage? You know, you guys didn't have kids and you kept traveling and it was more like societal pressure. How did you deal with it?
How long did you stay without children? Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
13 years.
13.
But let me tell you something about the travels. It gives you an opportunity to rekindle your affair. You come to a new environment, it's no longer the home you're used to. It's like, oh, wow, this is cool. You know, so the thing is, when there's monotony of a particular place, oh, yes. That's the reason why you see families need to plan for a holiday so that at least you have reason to.
Nima's husband is taking Nima out very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Yeah,
I would like to go to the issue of 13 years without the child. Because a lot of parents, a lot of families are going through that right now. And they break up. They don't even get up to 10 years or 5 years. They're already thinking it's time to part away. Let me ask you, sir. In this 13 years, what did you do? How did you manage the relation? I'll come to you also. How did you manage
your family's pressure? Didn't they pressure
the entire pressure from all sides?
There was family pressure. Yes, it was there. But, I mean, you see, when you believe in God, you pray. How God is going to answer your prayers, you don't know. But surely and certainly he would answer it.
Okay.
So once you know that, now just, do what you're doing. We're busy producing our program, traveling. So it's not really, and I mean, we're always together. My parents would say, you people are always traveling. How can anything happen when you're always traveling? But we're together. We can do it anywhere.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll now find out what they're working on and what's up with them. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We've been learning so much from this amazing couple. But let's take a few tweets, Mariam. Go ahead.
So Mr. PJ Comedian says, wow, Isaac and Nneka Moses of Goge, Africa, they were my favorite couple back then. They made me yearn to travel, which when I do now, I remember their show. You all sure look good. God bless you. I've learned a lot from you this morning. Nice one, ladies. And then Eniola Fafa says, kudos to your guests, Isaac and Nneka Moses. The twosome are plain, down to earth and open-minded. They really understand each other.
You travel a lot, and tourism has been your thing. You practically almost created this tourism industry in this country because we all grew up watching you traveling all over the country within Africa. Which is what I really found interesting. I remember my father used to tell me that he wanted me to know Africa before knowing the world. Now, in your travel, what have you seen? How important is it for us to hold on to culture? Because people always want to be so foreign, and I see you go around to different countries, getting into the culture. But in Nigeria, we try to just, we have English names, we want to be so foreign, we don't even weave on. And
we don't even know our sites.
So how important is it for us to come back home to that issue of culture?
It is very important because people respect you actually for who you are, for your culture, for that uniqueness about you. That's what makes you stand out wherever you go. So, and the problem in Africa is that Africans don't know much about each other. They don't even trade with each other. You know, so, and each time an African man sees another African man, especially Nigerians, he's suspicious. It's like, you know, so when Africans talk about tourism, they expect to see white people.
Yes.
They're not used to fellow Africans going just for leisure, to see things, appreciate the beauty of the creation.
Let's talk about what inspired your production.
Okay.
What was the first place or site in Africa that you visited, whether Nigeria or outside, that you visited that made you think, if I don't sell this to the world, who will?
That wasn't it. We didn't start Goge because we saw a site and wanted to sell the site. It was actually our culture that pushed us into Goge. He lost an uncle. We were in the village, and the ceremony was going on. There's something the Igbos call Itukwe. It's a kind of a very graceful movement that married women do.
No music, but it's rhythmic.
But there's no music.
When they
but
move.
They come, they move, and then they talk. There's some kind of praises going on. So, but when that starts, people just stop to watch.
Yeah.
So I ran out of the kitchen as a young wife. We were in the kitchen cooking. He also left his friends. Everybody came to watch. And I was like, wow. He had always talked about starting a radio show where he would play African music. So I said to him, don't you think that if people can stop to watch this, imagine what will happen if something like this was on TV. So the initial thing was to promote our culture. Then we started promoting our culture, and in the bid to do that, we're going from here to there. We now realize that when you go to Benin Republic, you might as well visit the Snake Temple and Wida and all of those places. So that's how the location sipped into the production.
The tourism
So Michael,
potentials.
it's been many years since you started, and I was wondering if there's any difference you can talk about tourist sites in Nigeria in particular. Are things improved? Are things worse? You know, we've heard about recently the Kajuru Castle and sort of reviews that come from that. So how are you still able to push Nigerian sites?
See, things are much better today.
Okay.
I'm a very positive person because we cannot deny the fact that many years ago, cultural festivals, we know when we send proposals to some corporate body, they tell us they can't associate with that because it's fetish. It will bring down their brand value. But today, those same brands are the ones jostling to be at festivals.
Yes.
I mean, look at Oshoshogbo, look at New Yam festivals, look
even
at
Lagos.
exactly, Zembirom. You know, today, brands are jostling for festivals.
So now you run a tour company. So it's not just about the show.
No.
It's about taking people around experiences.
Yes.
And I feel that we don't enlist much for tourism in Africa as such. So how has business been? And what is the experience we would get if we were supposed to go to an African country with you guys?
Well, the experience you get is when you come into any African countries through Goge Africa for starters. Goge Africa is a brand that has been there. We have a lot of goodwill with most African governments.
Okay.
So you will not sneak in and sneak out of that country. You will come in and they will be willing to show you the best that they have. Because you're coming in with referrals from people they have trusted over time. Each time I go on these holidays, you know, I call it holiday because my job is just to go on holiday and have fun. Now, imagine Kenya is inviting me to come and see their country, and they are paying me to come.
Wow.
Do you understand? So if they've paid me to come and see and show you, when I call them and say, see, my people are coming in, they are ready, waiting for you to come.
That's right.
So we're not like any other tour company. We're a tour company with a difference. With knowledge, I'm selling to you where I have been, where I know people. The person that is selling akara on that street that I'm sending you. Exactly. So that's the difference between us and other tour companies. And starting the tour company was tossed at us on a platter. Because we travel a lot, starting from those days, we're showing our travels on TV. It was a corporate body that approached us and said, see, we want to go to somewhere in Africa, not in Nigeria, but we don't want to fly. And it was a time when there was some plane...
Air crash.
Yes.
Rampant.
So this company, it's HP, okay? So they tossed about 100 people at us when we've not done a single tour before.
Wow. Yeah.
But then we said, okay, the nearest country we can think of is Benin Republic.
Yeah.
And it's okay, if we come there, can you get some ministers to see us, like the Minister of Communication or Minister of Tourism. I'll say, yes, whatever you want. And imagine, incidentally, the month before, we were there.
Right.
And these people were talking to us about bringing...
Exactly. Keep on doing the work.
We have, unfortunately, time goes so fast. We have to run up. But is there anything else you'd like our viewers to know that you're working on very quickly?
Oh, yes. The cruise, this year, October, this year will be our 20th anniversary. And we'll have a cruise.
Wow.
And we have,
A cruise,
we have so much lined
Starting
up.
from where?
Starting from Miami
We're
to
connecting
Puerto
with
Rico.
the diaspora. We're connecting with the diaspora on that cruise. But that's not all we're doing for Goge Africa 20th anniversary. Of course, there will be the gala and awards night. We are doing a lot of contests.
Wow.
You know.
Give us information so that we can share with our viewers.
Okay.
That cruise is...
the cruise.
We should leave from Lagos here. We'll have joined you.
See what's going on. See what's going on now. First of all, you should all know that the African Americans believe that we don't care so much about them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but they are looking for where to invest in Africa. They said, because check around all the investments in Africa, it's white people coming to invest.
I have to round
Now,
up.
let's round up anyway. But the cruise, we'll take
send
it 4 countries.
Send us the information and we'll post it.
When you're about to start.
Talk about it.
Okay.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. Thank you so much. We learned so much from you guys
So
today.
nice being here.
Have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.